everyone, welcome. We are so glad that y'all have taken some time out of your day to come join us. We're all super excited to be here. We have one last panelist that should be joining us sometime soon, but we're going to go ahead and start off by having Sarah go ahead and share her slide deck. So for this first portion of the webinar, we'll go ahead and start off with a short slide deck, just talking a little bit more about who we are, who Qualtrics is, what we do, and really our opportunities here. And then from there, we'll go ahead and go into the panel Q&A, where we have some questions that we've already created, some that we've gathered for the audience. So we always love to hear your questions as well. So if you have any, be thinking of some, go ahead and ask those in the chat, and then we'll be preparing for those during this conversation. But cool, we're going to go ahead and start off with the first slide by introducing ourselves. I can go first. So my name is Adriella. I'm an early talent sales recruiter here at Qualtrics. I specifically recruit for our professional sales internship, as well as our sales development program. I'm based out of the Provo office, and I graduated from Brigham Young University just 2 years ago. So pretty recent, but it's been amazing being here at Qualtrics on the early talent team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm one of the university recruiters here on our team as well. I specialize in recruiting for our engineering as well as our services role. So we'll speak a little bit more about like the product specialist opportunity soon as well, but I'm super excited to get to know everyone.
Perfect. And hey, everyone, my name is Sydney. I'm a sales development representative, or an SDR as we call them. If you don't know, a sales development representative is basically more of an entry sales role. You'll see this across a lot of tech companies. You'll spend some time as an SDR, and then you work your way up to an account executive. And those are the people who close sales. So SDRs source, account executives close. But I am originally from Texas. And like Adriella, I also graduated from BYU with a marketing degree. Right now, I sell to the education and the federal government, and I've been here full-time since June, but I was a sales intern last summer, and I was the #1 intern, so that was a relief. So I got the return offer, and I've been here a total of 9 months, including that time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jose. I'm a product specialist. If you don't know what that is, I'm basically, if you call into Qualtrics with a specific specialty or any issue that you have, I might be the person that's picking up that phone or that email or that chat. So that's kind of what I do. I mainly work with customer support and just troubleshoot those issues for you. I've been with Qualtrics for about, I think I'm going on my 11th month. I started in January. And I graduated from University of California, Irvine with a cognitive science degree, specializing in computer science. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here and excited to answer some questions here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so we'll definitely have some time to ask questions to our wonderful panelists here as well. But just before we dive into the opportunities that we offer here at Qualtrics and to the Q&A, we just wanted to give you all a little insight into Qualtrics and who we are and what we do. So Qualtrics XM is kind of like an experience management company. So XM stands for experience management, which is the practice of understanding and improving upon the experiences of customers and employees in various different industries. In the industry today, it's not just about, receiving a product or a service, but experiences really do matter, which is why, people might check Google or Yelp reviews to get feedback from other people's experiences before even choosing to go to a restaurant that night as well. You might have for example, taken a flight on JetBlue and have been asked after that flight to take a survey in terms of like what your flight experience was like. And that's kind of what Qualtrics does in a nutshell. XM is not just customer satisfaction, but we help companies drive the optimal experience and provide them with the tools to close experience gaps. Basically, what experience gaps are is what experiences companies think they're giving versus what, people like their customers think they're actually receiving. And we help companies gather data on customer, employee, brand, as well as product experiences to help inform them of better ways to improve their brands as well. This form of improving experiences is a category that Qualtrics really spearheaded and created. So we're really proud of this industry that we've really put forward. And collecting data from customers is all well and good, but we recognize there's so much more we can do to make customers and employees happy. And companies are catching on. Here are some numbers that we highlight here, but over 85% of the Fortune 500 companies use Qualtrics to collect, again, whether it's customer, employee, brand, as well as product experience data. We have over 13,000 customers globally, over 2,000 enterprise customers in over 40 countries, 95% retention in our enterprise businesses, and 55% year-over-year growth. This does not include the academic and research side of things, which we also kind of have expertise in as well, where a majority of MBA programs and research facilities also use Qualtrics to collect data for research purposes as well. So just a little bit about our company and what we do.
Thanks, Sarah. And one of the opportunities that we'll be talking about today is the software sales development program / the professional sales internship. So here at Qualtrics, one of our core mission values that Sydney will touch on is transparency. So to be transparent with you, we are on the tail end of hiring for our sales development program. So that's an application that we have closed for the time being, but there could be a case that we open up applications later, we get additional headcount, and at that time, then we definitely can keep in touch. But one opportunity within sales that we are still hiring for is our professional sales internship. So to kind of go over what that looks like, our professional sales internship is going to be a 12-week summer internship. So for this upcoming summer, it'll run from May 15th through August 4th. And with that, it's kind of split up between 3 different segments. So for the first 2 weeks, that will be our sales bootcamp. So that's when our interns are really learning more about Qualtrics, who we are, what we do, and of course, how to pitch this to clients. And then during those next 5 weeks or so, our interns are actually, practicing that pitch by cold calling, prospecting, emailing, also mining, and then kind of really gathering and reaching out to companies to see if it's really a fit with what they're looking for, with their experience management needs, with their people, and really seeing if it's that potential fit with Qualtrics. And then for the next 5 weeks or so, then they'll actually be able to have more time one-on-one with our account executives. So our account executives are pretty much people who are selling the Qualtrics platform full cycle. So they're closing deals, meeting with clients, and really seeing if it's a fit that way. So throughout the internship, our interns get that hands-on sales experience into that entire sales cycle, and also that overview of what sales looks like, whether that's here at Qualtrics with the SDR program as an account executive, and they can really see if it's that fit as with the opportunities here at Qualtrics. So I'd say the day-to-day as an intern is pretty similar to what an SDR's is. Our interns also have an SDR as a mentor. So that's going to be one of their resources to really help them along the program, making sure that they're having a lot of growth, really understanding what they're doing and having success at it, while also making sure that they're having a great time. Experiences are key to who we are here at Qualtrics. So we want to make sure that our interns are learning a lot, growing a lot, but also just being able to have that great experience during their internship. So for the internship, we have a few different location opportunities. We have Dallas, Texas, Provo, Utah, and then Raleigh, North Carolina. And then for full-time opportunities, if it's a fit following the internship, then we also have opportunities in those same 3 office locations, as well as Reston, Virginia, as well as Chicago, Illinois. So a few different opportunities throughout the country, just based on where our interns want to be. I'd say that this internship, our professional sales internship, is going to be our bigger internship for the summer. The main ones that we hire for interns-wise are going to be the professional sales internship, as well as our engineering internships as well. Beyond that, we do have one-off internships that we do hire for later in the season. Maybe we'll have like a finance intern come up, or like an HR internship come up. We're just not kind of familiar what's going to open up later, but always definitely keep in touch with Sarah and I. And if there's a fit internship with Wise here at Qualtrics, what you could potentially be looking for, then we can definitely reach back out and see if it could be a fit there.
Awesome. Another opportunity we wanted to highlight is our product specialist opportunity. So this role is a pretty cool opportunity based out of mainly our Provo, Utah and Seattle, Washington offices. And this role, again, Jose here, one of our panelists, is in this role now. So you'll have lots of opportunities to ask him about questions about his experiences in this opportunity as well. But just to give you a little bit of information on the role itself, it is a customer-facing technical support role where you'll really have the opportunity to become an expert in the Qualtrics platform. And through that, you'll really learn how to use the Qualtrics platforms ins and out of it, learning how to troubleshoot, use advanced features, and really be able to assist assist customers and clients with questions they might have or issues they run into. These customers and clients might range from, students like yourselves working on research for school opportunities that need help with that, or it might be even internal Qualtrics employees who need help, conducting surveys and gathering client information, things like that too. So you'll really have a cool opportunity to work with a wide range of customers and clients and really support them through their journeys using the Qualtrics platform. The really cool thing about this product specialist opportunity is that it is designed to be a 12 to 18 month program, after which you'll have the opportunity to really promote into other opportunities that you're interested in within Qualtrics. You may want to stay as a product specialist to some senior level extent and grow in your role there. Or a lot of our product specialists do move into other roles within Qualtrics, such as like marketing, sales opportunities, engineering opportunities, even like recruiting opportunities, just to name a few of the spaces that our past few product specialists have moved into as well. But yeah, through this opportunity, you'll really have some leadership and development opportunities, again, opportunities to really become an expert in the Qualtrics platform, which will lead to great success in the roles that you kind of move into within the Qualtrics organizations as well. So definitely a really cool opportunity if you are looking to, get your foot in the door for tech opportunities, but don't necessarily have a technical background. Like, this is a really awesome opportunity for people to really be trained and learn and really have that hands-on learning experience and expertise with tech companies and their backgrounds as well. So that's kind of our product specialist spiel there.
All right, perfect. And somebody earlier in the Q&A asked about, what is the culture like at Qualtrics? Well, we like to call it tacos, and it stands for transparency, being all in. We are customer obsessed. We work as one team, and we're scrappy. So we always find a way to do what we need to do and get the results. And one of them that I really love that Adriella mentioned earlier is transparency. Now, you guys may have read the news lately. There's a bit of a recession coming, but honestly, that hasn't worried us all at Qualtrics, because our managers and our leaderships are so good about being open and honest with our team about what's happening within the company, within the sales department, how the economy might affect a business, how we need to change strategies. And so we always feel in the loop, and we're not blindsided by leadership decisions at all. And that just means the world as an employee, because that means they also value us. And to go on top of that, you guys, the culture at Qualtrics is so wonderful that before I applied to the internship, I job shadowed a sales development rep like several years ago. And yes, I really loved the day-to-day of what they were doing, but I loved the people more. I loved how they interacted with each other. They all came from very different backgrounds, different majors, but everybody is so supportive, uplifting, and just wants everyone to succeed. And I just love that. So that's a little bit about our culture. Does anyone have anything to add?
I love that, Sydney. I think one thing I would add too is on one team, it's awesome to see kind of like what this little thing says. People are never saying like, that's not my job. Qualtrics definitely has such a supportive environment where it's exciting to go to work in the office. Like right now, for example, Qualtrics is on a hybrid schedule. So each team selects kind of what the hybrid schedule looks like for them. So for example, on recruiting, we go into the office once every week, but honestly, I love to go even more often than that, just because it's fun that my friends are there, that there's catered lunch in the office every day. And overall, it's that awesome time. I know for the salespeople as well, like sometimes people think of sales, they think of this like cutthroat environment, like just super hard, kind of wild sometimes, but it's cool that, in sales, people are like friends. Like it's exciting to see other people succeed, right? Like when one person succeeds, we all succeed. So it's definitely that one team environment where people are working together, they're sharing information and really being excited for kind of the whole group to have success. Like it's a fun time for us all to be winners, really. So kind of cool just how Qualtrics culture really comes together. Sarah, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Cool. So here we have a few QR codes and resources. We have my email and Sarah's email. So even following this webinar, feel free to keep our emails down and stay in touch if you have any additional questions, if you want to schedule a call, or really see if it could be a fit with opportunities here at Qualtrics. And then we also have our sales recruiting page, which is going to take you to pretty much our sales SDR webpage, as well as our product specialist webpage as well. So some resources there for you, but we'll go ahead and kind of transfer and pivot over to kind of the Q&A portion of this. We have some people already asking awesome questions in the chat. Thank you so much. And we're also going to be pulling some questions that we've come up with that we think could be beneficial for you, as well as some that people have previously asked as well. So we're just going to go ahead and start off with the first question for Jose, putting it way back. Jose, I know, you went to UCI, Zot, I think that was right. Cool. So what was your experience like relocating from California to Utah? Can you tell me more about that and your experiences in Utah so far?
Yeah, so personally, I was really excited to just experience a different state than California. I grew up in Texas and then moved to California. I love both states, both great states to live in, but I did want to experience something for my own and just kind of like move out there and be spontaneous. So whenever I got this job offer from Qualtrics, I initially was like, oh, I don't know if I want to move to Utah. So I looked it up. I looked up what the major cities were. Of course, Salt Lake City was the main one that popped up. And then we're currently located in Provo, so roughly around 35 to 45 minutes. I made the choice to go actually right in between those two cities. I currently live in Riverton or Harriman area. If you're familiar with Utah, you know where that is. If you're not, that's completely fine. It's basically right in the middle between those two cities. So I have about a 25 to 35 minute commute to the office and a 25-minute to 35-minute drive to Salt Lake City, which I really enjoy. So the actual move was actually pretty nice. I received a move bonus, which really helped just like accommodate myself with the rent and be able to settle in here. Utah itself has been a nice change of pace. I feel like it's a lot slower than California. I don't know if that makes too much sense, but I feel like I enjoy my day a little longer here. In California, I'm really, whenever I'm driving, I'm very like on edge, like making sure that I'm going to get there within the designated time. And I feel like I don't feel that in Utah. And then overall, I think something that I was a little worried about was just diversity in Utah. I think we have a lot of assumptions about what it would be like to live here. And I'm happy to say that I've actually enjoyed my time a lot in Utah. I think Salt Lake City was a really big breath of fresh air. And yeah, I'm just enjoying my time in a different major city.
Cool. Awesome. And can you also tell us more about what your typical day-to-day looks like as a product specialist as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a little further along now in my CUNY career or product specialist career, meaning I've taken on a little bit more responsibility than what the regular product specialist does in their first couple of months. Currently, whenever I start the job, I first look at my couple of specialties. So I'm specifically trained in 4 or 5 different parts of our product. I used to be the team lead for one of them, meaning I would manage other people who are also specialized within there. I look at those requests, see if I have any urgent requests that I really need to take care of that day or within that hour. I take care of those. I look at my email to make sure that I'm not getting slacked by any higher ups or or anything really important, any meetings and things like that. I do have management meetings now because I am still managing my own group of people. But aside from that, the rest of my day basically just looks like taking different requests from chat, email, or phone calls, depending on how my schedule is set up for that day. And yeah, I just kind of take in those requests, answer them, and if I have to escalate them or if I have to bring another team onto the request, I do those procedures as well.
Okay, awesome, cool. Thank you so much. And for you, Sydney, what would you say your typical day-to-day looks like as a sales development representative?
Yeah, so as a sales development representative, like I mentioned earlier, the core of your job is to support account executives. You work together for certain territories or different accounts. And so a good part of your day is going to go towards what's called prospecting, which is finding people to reach out to, emailing them, calling them, and setting those meetings. Every morning, we start the day with like a 15-minute team meeting with our managers and the other people on our team. And then, yeah, sprinkled throughout the day, I have internal meetings with those account executives so we can strategize, maybe a one-on-one with my manager, because Qualtrics is really good about coaching you through your position, and client meetings that I previously set, so I can prepare myself to be a better sales account executive down the road.
Awesome. Cool. I love that. No, that was awesome. And then we also have a question from the chat that I think we can kind of bounce off with that. Amy asked, what are some of the common career tracks for individuals in the sales position? So typically our sales interns, if they come back and join us full time, they'll be in a position like Sydney's as a sales development representative. So to kind of give an overview of what that looks like, it's an 18 to 24 month training program that's really focused on giving all the skills, the training, really all of the mentorship that you would need to succeed in your sales career. Following that program, then I'd say people typically roll into an account executive. The way that kind of works is this SDR is more so kind of learning the skills and gaining the skills along the way to succeed in sales, while an account executive is actually running their own deals full cycle. So they might be prospecting or, like calling someone and saying, hey, like, do you think this is a fit? Or this is who we are here at Qualtrics. Would this be something you're looking for? Could this be a fit? That's probably not how the call goes at all. But in my mind, that's kind of how it goes. And then they could also be actually meeting with the client and selling the Qualtrics XM platform for them. So I'd say that's a pretty common one. And then kind of from there, the opportunities are kind of open, where you want to go into sales. We have some people going into an enterprise account executive, which is pretty much going to be like our biggest clients within the Qualtrics XM space. And then we also have people going into sales leadership. So maybe people who want to go into management, want to manage a team, they'll more so go towards that sales leadership route. So a lot of different opportunities within sales, just depending on, what people's long-term goals are and really where they want to be in their career.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, if you do become an SDR and you're like, I don't know, this is for me long-term. I don't know if the sales is for me long-term, but I really love Qualtrics. Qualtrics is really good about letting you switch positions and applying for other positions within the company as well. So you have tons of options within the company as well.
Yeah. For example, there was someone who was an SDR who, at first they were like, I love sales, I want to get into it. But by the end of the program, they just realized, I don't think sales is for me. And that's totally okay. So with that, we were able to make that person's transition over from an SDR over to recruiting for our university salespeople. So perfectly being able to use their skills, their talents, and all the things that they've learned in another position here within Qualtrics. So that was an awesome transition. And Sydney, like we mentioned earlier, was also a professional sales intern. So as an intern, Sydney, what would you say was the most challenging part of your role?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, our internship was primarily remote, which added an extra level of difficulty. So a remote sales position might sound really appealing, but there's camaraderie and whatnot that really comes with being in person. I would say the most challenging part of the sales internships was diving into cold calls and making those initial connections with clients, because you have to learn the product, because Qualtrics has a suite of products that you need to know, and then connecting them with those products. Of course, the hardest part is getting them to stay on the phone and setting the meetings. And sometimes that can be really nerve-wracking. But again, when you become an intern or you start as an SDR, your manager and your onboarding will train you in all of that. And everybody will be there to support you so you can overcome that hump and become really good at it.
Awesome. And we had a follow-up question from there, Sydney. Sydney, this is from Cole. What advice would you give to an intern if they want to be a top performing candidate in sales?
What a fabulous question. So the internship is a little more, let me say, I don't want to say hands-on, but as an intern, you're measured weekly. So they look at your weekly metrics as opposed to monthly and quarterly as a normal SDR, because it is a shorter amount of time and they want to make sure they're setting you up for success. So top piece of advice, one, when you have metrics, go for them. Take the advice of the people who are training you, because they really do know what they talk about. You're welcome to try your own thing, but at the beginning, do what has worked to get you started and rolling. Another piece of advice that I don't want to like say set me apart, but I basically really internalized that I was acting as a full-time SDR, even though I was an intern. So I made an extra effort to collaborate with my account executives, tell them what's working in other territories, bringing it there, being very proactive in relationships and the books. And that's really going to set you apart, not only in the eyes of leadership when you come back, but in your experience, because you'll feel a lot more valued, like you're a contributor, and like you'll have a lot more success. I hope that was helpful. So be proactive and hit your metrics from the gun, like not the gun, hit the road running. I don't know, something along that. You guys know
All
what
the
I
above.
mean. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Sydney. We'll go ahead and make a slight transition over to more of the product specialist role. We have a question from Richard. He asked, what skills and attributes do you think are necessary to be considered for the product specialist role? Sarah, do you want to share with us on that?
Yeah, definitely. So for kind of like the qualifications we look for a product specialist role, majors wise, we actually are pretty open to any and all like majors, which is why it's a great opportunity to kind of, again, get your foot in the door for tech opportunities if you don't have like a technical background. So we do consider all majors. Some of the skill sets that we look for, of course, are like communication wise, customer obsessed mindset as well, since you will be working with a lot of clients and customer facing opportunities within this role as well. The thing with customer obsession or like customer mindset is a lot of people think it means like kind of working, I don't know, in like retail or like specifically directly with kind of like with customers and of that sort. But in reality, what we mean by that is like customers can take the form of any like form of what that means. For example, if you are a TA, your customers are really the students that you are TAing, right? It might be like if you do have an internship or opportunities, your customers might be stakeholders of the project that you're owning through that internship or part-time job. You might be working in retail where you are interacting with customers, or even like if you do have sales experience, you're working directly with your teams as well as the clients that you are interacting with on a day-to-day basis. So we definitely look for opportunities to see if you do have any of those backgrounds or skill sets that you can grow in as well. But really this opportunity is meant to be a learning experience too. Like we said, this is a 12 to 18 month, almost like rotational role where you kind of get to learn Qualtrics a little bit better and really understand the platform and the use cases. So we are pretty open to like training you and building your skills up from the ground as well. So I guess, Jose, is there anything else that you would add being in the role itself that you feel like are kind of important skill sets to have in this role or going into this role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually thinking about the question and just trying to narrow down what main skills I would say are really necessary for this role. So the first one that I would say is being able to pivot and being able to kind of adjust on the fly is something that I learned in this role, but I was also able to do beforehand that I think really helped me out within this role. Of course, not every single phone call that I get, not every single request that I get is going to be laid out in the books, right? It's not all textbook work. Not everyone uses the same terms. Not everyone has the same needs. Sometimes they have something very specific. And I need to find a way to use our platform in a way that it's not necessarily intended, but it is able to do. So I think that's one thing that I think will really help you out in this role is the ability to adjust and like just be able to know what you have on paper and take that and try to get as close as possible to what the client wants. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to make it too confusing there. And then the second ability would just be able to the ability to teach. Teaching is something that I think goes a long way in this job. Of course, I get phone calls and chats and emails from a variety of different skills, right? And people who know the platform like the back of their hand to people who have just started the platform yesterday, just started using it. So I need to have the ability to one, go step by step for the people that need it. I have to tell them, hey, this is where this icon is. This is like, you need to go to this tab to do this, and so on, right? I need to be more hands-on with certain clients, whereas other clients are like, I don't need any of that information. I just need you to tell me the overall aspect. And once you tell me that, I'm good to go. So I think just the ability to kind of switch off between those two different modes and be able to gauge where how much experience that client has is something that's really helped me do well in this job.
Awesome. I love that. And Jose, or maybe and Sarah, what types of roles do people most commonly go to after the product specialist role? And I guess specifically for Jose, what types of roles are you looking forward to after?
Yeah, so I'll let Sarah answer the main ones, just because I feel like I have a smaller view, just because I mainly know what like my start group is going to and things like that, which is a fairly small group. From what I understand, they're technical account management and things like that. But Sarah, you can add on to that. For me specifically, my main career goal coming out of college was to be a user researcher or user experience researcher, as it's also called. I wanted to be able to find something that I could fit among those lines, and just be able to fit exactly what I wanted somewhere around that career, right? I know I'm not going to get that career as soon as I get out of college, but I wanted to get my foot in the door and be able to go towards that goal. I think product specialist was a great way for me to get into tech and be able to get the technical mindset of understanding how tech works, how the tech industry itself works, and then looking into my future goals. The job that I'm actually currently signed, I just signed recently, so I'm very excited to be moving on in a couple of months, is actually a design-based role. I'm going to be working with our community pages and support to be able to adjust those pages and also moderate that community. If you don't know, Qualtrics community is basically a forum, if you will. Think of Reddit, but not as crazy. Think of Reddit, but specifically for Qualtrics, if that makes sense, where people share their ideas, different users share their ideas, share custom code, just share things that they've done with the product that normally isn't done, and show you how to do it yourself as well. So I'm going to be taking a role in that, and hopefully helping clients make their ideas come to the platform quicker than they currently are. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jose. Thanks for sharing that in detail. Like I said before, some of the roles that we do consider product specialists for, or the opportunities that product specialists can move into, really depends on like the skill sets and of course like the interests that you have. Like Jose's had a specific interest coming in to the product specialist role as well. Depending on your technical abilities, you have the opportunity to interview for some of our software engineering opportunities as well. We do have a handful of students who join into the product specialist role, and after the year and a half transition, move into some of our software engineering teams across the country as well. Of course, we do have some product specialists that move into some of our recruiting teams, which is really cool to see, along with some marketing opportunities, or like Jose mentioned, the TAM roles are a popular option for some of our product specialists to move into as well. So there are various different opportunities that product specialists can move into, just depending on the availability of roles and like what interests and specific skill sets you have. But starting month 9, and Jose, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have the opportunity to start exploring these opportunities. Your hiring manager will be super supportive and help you connect with other hiring managers of teams that you might be interested in, start conversations, start preparing for interview processes, and get in touch with recruiters to help begin the process with you as well.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah. We kind of talked on attributes of good like product specialist candidates. I know y'all are so interested in also good attributes of our intern candidates. So I'll go ahead and dive into that. One thing I did forget to touch on before is that with the internship, our professional sales internship is specifically for students prior to their senior year of college. It'll be during the summer, prior to their senior year of college. So for example, right now we're hiring for interns graduating between, let me see, that'll be December 2023 through May 2024 or August 2024. And really part of the design for that is that we want it to be kind of right before students graduate, so that if it's a fit, we could just go ahead and extend them that full-time offer to join us. Your performance and everything that happens, your experience is huge to us. So if it's a fit, we just want to go ahead and extend right there. Also kind of with what we're looking for, I'd say for one, sales experience is great in that it allows our leaders to know that sales is something that you're interested in pursuing, but more so than that, it's really going to be a mindset. for example, someone who is hardworking, driven, really has that willingness and that drive to succeed. Because I think there's so many days where cold calls are hard or they're not going well, or there's a lot of like self-directed time where you're going to be doing these things on your own. So really having interns with those attributes are really what's going to make them stand out and really succeed throughout the internship and in sales here at Qualtrics. So I'd say more than anything, those are the things that we're going to be looking for. And then with that, I kind of have a follow-up question for Sydney. Sydney, what is some advice you'd like to give someone looking into, kind of the sales realm as well as your role?
That's a really good question. Okay. So if you're wanting to explore a sales role, one thing to look at is definitely try to get a feel if your personality will fit into the role, because sometimes you need thick skin in sales. So you need to be emotionally resilient. Like, do you enjoy talking to strangers, or is it your worst nightmare? Because if it's your worst nightmare, maybe it's not for you. Another thing, and we kind of had a question about this as well. When you're interviewing, make sure that you really portray your skills through the stories that you share to answer the questions. You don't have to have specific, like, just sales experience to apply to a sales position. You can turn any job into a sales position and really convey that through your stories in your interviews. So, like, for example, I didn't have a professional sales role before my internship, but I was an ambassador/tour guide for my university. And so when you look at that, is it direct sales? No, but I did spend every day asking prospective students, like, what are you interested? What questions do you have? Sharing what programs might interest them and connecting why our university might be a good fit for the influence or for their interests. Yeah. And so making those connections in your stories and in your experiences, if you really enjoy that kind of process in your personal life, it could be a good fit for you as a sales rep.
I love that. I think there's so many times I talk to candidates and they almost, there's a word that I'm thinking of, I can't remember, but they don't really take the full advantage of their experiences. They're like, oh yeah, I just did this, or I did a little bit of that. No, like that's what you did. And you really want to feel confident in, like, how did that role, whatever you had, apply to the position you're applying to now? Because there's so many transferable skills, I think, in all fields, that beforehand kind of think through like different roles that you've had. And maybe it wasn't exactly sales or exactly product specialist in teaching, but how can it really be transferred to the role that you're applying for? I think that's huge, and really feeling confident in all that you've done, in school and your projects and academic sports, whatever you've been active in school. I think that's definitely cool to bring to the table in any interview process, or speaking with any recruiters or anything like that is always so cool. And with that, I did have another question for you, Sydney, but I am forgetting it. I'm looking through my questions. Okay, I'm back. Sydney, how does the onboarding process look like for incoming sales people at Qualtrics? I guess your onboarding experience with the SDR program.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as Adriella said back at the beginning of the presentation, you have about 2 weeks that they're going to do sales training. The first week is general Qualtrics product knowledge. So they'll walk you through each of our products, what they do, different situations. And then the second week is really going to be focused on your role in your day-to-day. How do you find people to reach out to? How do you talk to people on the phone? How do you overcome objections? And then that you also have that whole month to start building your business. So by the second month you're there, you're already getting your numbers in and going towards your quota. So that's what it looks like. The first month is training. The second month is ramping up to your full quota. And then the third month, you'll have a full quota.
Awesome. And then Jason asked, are your leads cold or warm? How are they qualified? Do you get more SQOs through phone or email? And how many marketing events happen each week?
That's a great question. Our leads are both cold and warm. Our warm leads always come through the marketing department, and they're divided, like, if somebody is in your territory, they'll come to you. Other times they're cold. It's you reaching out to that potential client for the first time. So sometimes they'll come to you with potential interest, and sometimes you'll go to them. And how are they qualified? Obviously, if they come to our website, download content, ask for a demo, they'll be sent straight to you. And our marketing, I won't go into too much detail, but they have an algorithm to determine which other leads to send to you based off of interactions with the website and whatnot. I'm not quite sure what SQOs are. We don't use that specific terminology. Are any of you familiar with SQOs? If not, that's totally fine.
No, I'm not. Jason, if you want to follow up on that, just let us know in
Yeah,
the
if
chat.
you want to follow up.
I think it's a sales qualified opportunity. So
Oh,
I'm assuming it's a different term, lead.
Okay, awesome. So sales qualified leads are kind of what we're talking about. We call them something different here, but they'll go through marketing and then be routed to you. So the majority of your job is reaching out on your own terms with the weekly list coming from marketing. And I'm not sure about how many marketing events happens each week. That would be a better question for Adriella.
yeah. On that part, like, I'm not exactly sure, but I can definitely kind of reach out and find out more about that on the marketing side and what events happen. We do have one kind of last follow-up question on all of that, Sydney. So let's see. So, when our SDRs or interns are facing challenges, how does Qualtrics provide support?
That's a really great question. So as an intern, you're going to have one-on-ones with the manager of your team and the managers of the internship program. You also have daily meetings, so you can share with the other interns, like, this is what I'm facing, and also with a normal SDR role, like, I'm facing this problem, what have you done to overcome it? Has anybody seen this before? And basically it's a collaboration, and people will help give you ideas, and so you'll feel supported and you'll be able to find clarity on how to overcome challenges.
Cool. Thank you so much, Sydney, for providing us more detail and context into that and kind of what your experiences have been. We'll go ahead and pivot over to Jose. Jose, for you, what do you feel is the most challenging part of your role?
Yeah, definitely. So the most challenging part of my role, wow. I would honestly say it's being able, that ability that I brought up in the very beginning, to be able to pivot. I've been put in situations where the client's like asking me a question, or they're asking me something very specific with our product, and I know that it can be somehow reached, or we can do something to get just about as close as possible. But I have to spend time literally just putting everything down and just thinking, how am I going to use the resources that I have right now to be able to reach that goal? I think it's the hardest part, but at the same time, it's like one of the most rewarding whenever you do find out. Personally, I come from like a coding background, so it kind of feels like whenever, if any of you have ever taken a coding class, or any class where you have to like kind of troubleshoot something and just think about it and then try to implement that and then see if it works, and if it doesn't, you go back to the drawing board. That process, I really missed it from college, and I think it's something that I have now that is in a different form. But it's also like really difficult sometimes, because I'm like, I have to admit defeat after I've spent 2 hours on something and it's just not working. And I've talked to other teams and it still won't work. So I think it's the most difficult yet rewarding part of my job. Another difficult part, I think, is just being able to reach, like Sydney had mentioned, they have metrics that they need to be able to reach for certain months or weeks and things like that. It's the same concept for us. You have to reach certain metrics. And I think that's another difficult part that takes some getting used to, just because, of course, in college, you're not really kept up to certain metrics, right? You just kind of need to get your grades and pass, and that's it, at least for me. So I would definitely say that that's something that I had to get adjusted to.
Cool. And then kind of, I guess, throwing it back, but slash now, what advice would you give for your college self, Jose?
I think for my college self, I would have told me to really look at everything out there, specifically for careers. I did not know that I wanted to be a user researcher until the very end of my college career, because I didn't even know what it was in the very beginning of my college career. So I think having that ability, if I would have had that ability earlier on into college, I wouldn't have been as stressed out trying to find a job, trying to find what I like, what I don't like. And yeah, I think just being able to look for different options and be open to different possibilities that I never really thought would be for me. I think that would have really helped me not be as stressed as a sophomore or junior in college.
Definitely. I totally think that's true. I think in college, it's so easy to stress about kind of everything, maybe that's an exam or what major to pick. I know can feel like such a heavy one. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to impact my life. But at the end of the day, I think, at least for me, a lot of experience is going to have a bigger impact than major. So for me, I was in my final semester of school as a public health major when I was like, you know what, I think I want to go more into HR and recruiting. And at that point, I had already had, just by chance, over a year of HR experience from my on-campus job at BYU. And so I was able to really, really easily make the transition over to that field. So I think experience is huge. Don't stress too much. Sorry, I'm taking over your advice. This is my advice too, I guess now. But yeah, experience is huge. Don't stress too much on major. Really just work hard and make those connections, because I think those connections and that networking is really what's going to take you to that next level. And kind of on that, Sydney, what would you say are your favorite parts of being at Qualtrics in your role?
Well, the free lunch every day certainly doesn't hurt. It's very delicious and very nice. One of my favorite parts of being at Qualtrics, definitely my team members. We jive so well and we just have such a good time while supporting each other. Another thing I really love about being in sales is the money. It's really nice when you overachieve, when you hit over quota, that you get multipliers and big bonuses that come later, and it really is cushy in your bank. That's one reason I really went into sales, is because of the financial and monetary aspect of it. And then just being at Qualtrics, it's a fabulous place to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And we'll switch over to Jose. Jose, why did you choose Qualtrics?
So funny story, I had actually gotten a handshake initially from Qualtrics. Handshake's like a website that they use, or at least I used in college, to be able to find different roles instead of like LinkedIn. So I got a handshake for a recruiting role, and I actually came into Qualtrics thinking, I know who they are because I've used them in my research labs before, but I don't want to be a recruiter. So I'm going to take the job offer, not the offer, but the opportunity to interview, because I needed professional interview experience. So I was like, I need to be able to have this experience in me and be able to go to job interviews, feeling confident and feeling aware of what I can do. And then while in the interview, they were like, hey, we really like you, but we think you'd be a better fit for this other job or this other role. And when they said that, I was like, oh, okay, like, what's it about? And they're like, you have a more technical background. This is something that we think you could make technical if you choose to. And then they showed me the product specialist role. And I was like, okay, that's actually something I am interested in. So I went through a different interviewing process right after for this specific role. And that's kind of how I ended up coming here, completely by chance, to be honest. I took a chance by taking a recruiting interview that I didn't think I was going to take, turning into a product specialist job that I did take. So definitely by chance, but also just being able to be open and taking on those interviews as they come.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. And we're glad that the product specialist role was a perfect fit for you. We're lucky with that match. So that's awesome to hear that. And I just want to kind of send a note out to all the participants. We are on the tail end of the webinar. So if you have any final questions that you're itching to answer, definitely ask that in the Q&A, so we can go ahead and touch on those before we end. But if not, then we'll go ahead and kind of ask Sydney, what is the culture like on your team here at Qualtrics?
Yeah, fabulous question. So I'm very biased. I think I have the best manager in the world, who not only she takes such interest in our lives, us as people. She doesn't just see us as, people who work for her. She sees us as friends. She sees us as people. She values our experiences. She's also very, very experienced in the sales cycle. And so she gives the best advice on that. And even if you aren't, quote unquote, some people aren't on pace for the month, she, like, my manager will never doubt our team for a second. She's like, you can do it. The only maybe we should try this instead. She gives us tools to succeed. And so nobody on our team ever feels like they're left alone or left behind, because everybody has their back. We'll share what's well for us so that everybody can achieve their goals.
Awesome. I love that. I know Sydney's manager pretty well, and I can ditto that. She's awesome, as are a lot of the SDR leaders here at Qualtrics. So it's definitely a fun time. We're getting that support. You're having a good time. And overall, we're all really getting that awesome training and kickstart to your career. And then I know Sarah had something she wanted to touch on as well. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so I've just been seeing in the chat, we've been getting a lot of FAQs on like other opportunities that we didn't discuss in this webinar, such as like HR internships or opportunities, business analyst, data science roles, all of that great stuff. There are a lot of roles that we aren't actively recruiting for at this time. The roles that we just shared, like the SDR full-time, SDR internship, as well as product specialist roles, are roles that we are actively interviewing, receiving applications for. The roles that that a lot of people asked about, we may not be actively recruiting for at this time. So I would definitely recommend checking out our job site, just monitoring the job site. You can even actually set notifications, email notifications for roles that have like keywords or titles that you're interested in to notify you when those jobs open. So definitely would recommend setting those notifications, monitoring our job site, and if and when those opportunities do open in the future, you will be notified, and you can definitely submit an application then. So yeah, just wanted to put out a blanket statement out there, since we've been getting a ton of questions about other opportunities here at Qualtrics.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sarah. And to everyone in the audience, definitely keep in touch with us. You have our emails. We also have those websites for the sales side and the professional sales internship side, if you want to read some of the stories on there, as well as go ahead and find those links to submit your application. Again, thank you all so much for coming and showing up today. It's been so fun, just kind of reflecting on our own experiences and what it's really been like at Qualtrics for us. So we're super excited to keep in touch. Definitely reach out if you have any questions, and we're excited to talk to y'all sometime later in the future. Okay, thanks everyone.